Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
His
you.
Excellency. Hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar titled Smart Cities and Sustainable Mobility, Improving the Quality of Our Lives, organized by the Italian Embassy to the UAE in collaboration with Khalifa University and Dubai Future Foundation. So thank you very much, the organizers, for this beautiful opportunity. I am Cesare Stefanini, here at Khalifa University, directing a center on healthcare engineering innovation. And today we have quite a large number of speakers, actually, and time is not very long. So I ask from now to try to stay within your 6-8 minutes of time so that we can also answer some of the questions that will come. So without further ado, I leave the floor to His Excellency Nicola Lehner, the ambassador, for a welcome address.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thanks to everybody for being here with us. I'll be very brief. Just to thank on my side also our partners, Khalifa University for Science and Technology in Abu Dhabi and the Dubai Future Foundation. I'm very grateful to all the panelists, that are participating in today's event. And, it's part of the initiative Innovita UAE, which is aimed at exploring opportunities of cooperation in highly innovative sectors. We are moving now in this virtual environment, but our idea is to shift to a real, let's say, in-presence environment, hopefully shortly, maybe in the first part of next year, to have a day dedicated also to smart cities and smart mobility. We decided to, focus on this topic because it's, of the utmost, actuality now, and because of UAE are actually on the forefront of innovation as far as smart cities are concerned. I try to find some definition of smart cities. It's very difficult to find actually a common definition, but out of all the definition means smart city, I found a definition by Cisco, for instance, which defines smart cities as those which adopt scalable solutions that take advantage of information and communication technology to increase efficiencies, reduce costs, and enhance the quality of life. Maybe this is just one of the definitions, but I like it because it embodies two concepts: the role of technology and the objective of improving the quality of services and hence the quality of life of citizens. I know that there are different approaches as far as smart cities are involved: a top-down approach and bottom-up approach. So different approaches. The top-down approach, has a lot to do with integration of data gathered from different kinds of sources into a single virtual platform in order to manage city operations more efficiently. And new cities are sometimes, smart cities with this kind of approach. Masdar City, which is an outstanding example of a smart city, actually is probably a top-down smart city. But I'm here, of course, to be with all of you, and you can tell more about maybe also the Masdar experience. Maybe European cities has more to do with a bottom-up approach, which emphasizes the use of new technologies like social media, websites, mobile applications, and new data as a means to enable citizens to improve their interaction with public authorities, thus making citizens more engaged in public life. So two different approaches, but one main objective, I think, which is to improve quality of our citizens through the use of technology. Smart mobility is not, all what smart city is, but definitely is an important component of smart cities, because I think there's a lot to do with the daily experience of citizens and their quality of life. And in smart mobility, we have seen, some important global trends. The most important one probably is the shift to electric and sustainable mobility. That said, I don't want to take more of your time, just some suggestions for this, upcoming discussion, which will be a very, how can I say, qualified and insightful one, I'm sure, given the quality of the speakers. Thanks again. Thanks, Professor, for your moderation. And I give you back the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we will have a couple of sessions, two sessions, one more, I would say, academic, the other one involving also players in the local players in this area. And so we will start with the first session titled Think Smart, Challenges and Opportunities. And first of all, I leave the floor to Steve Griffith, our Senior Vice President for Research at Khalifa University, for a first talk on this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shari. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm going to show a brief presentation. I know we don't have much time, and so I will try to keep my remarks fairly short. I just need to be able to share my presentation with you briefly. Unfortunately, I'm a bit of a sorry, I'm having a problem with my presentation for some reason, unfortunately. Let me just see if we're able to get it on here.
You want to send to me? I can.
Yeah, in the interest of time, if you'd like to go to the next speaker, I apologize for that. The presentation there's an issue with it. I'll send it to you, and then maybe you can open it for me. That'd be great.
Okay. So in the meantime, I pass to the second speaker, or we can try now.
Go ahead. Yes, the second speaker will lose time. Sorry, so I'll come back.
Okay. So our second speaker is Nawaf Almosa, is the professor here at Khalifa University and director of the EBTIC Center, which is a ICT Innovation Center, Emirates ICT Innovation Center. So it's very much in the area of course, of smart city and related topics. So please, Nawaf is also a good friend, and I'm very happy to have you here today.
Likewise, thank you, Cesare. First, I'd like to check, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Fantastic, and buongiorno everyone, and thank you very much for the kind invitation. Thank you, Your Excellency, for the presentation, and let me share my screen. I don't know, can you see my slides?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. So I'll try to make my remark short as well. So I'm involved with EBTIC. The EBTIC is one of the research centers found at Khalifa University. It is founded in collaboration with Etisalat, the local telco, and also British Telecom. And it's supported by the ICT Fund, which is one of the funding entities in the UAE. It's built on the model is a foundation of industry and academia and government collaboration. So we function like any academic research center in terms of the basic research, TRL level, say 2 to 3, and output is scientific publications. But also we work heavily with the industry stakeholders and government stakeholders in applied research, where we produce proof of concepts and other, let's say, value-driven type of research. In terms of the international collaboration, I'm pleased and honored to say we have a solid research relationship with Italy. First of all, we're humbled to have Professor Ernesto Damiani in our center and the university in general. And also we have Italy is well represented in our excellent research scientists here at the center. And we have a steady traffic of researchers going back from the UAE and Italy and back forth. So this is a high level about the model of the center. Well, I'm really pleased again by the topic of or the theme of today, because this is, I'm showing you here my research themes of EBTIC. So you can see smart everywhere. smart infrastructure, smart enterprise, and smart society. And basically, in summary, our research themes aim to apply tools from ICT, but specifically tools from data science, from operations research, some subject matter expertise in, say, signal processing or communications to solve problems in the infrastructure. Here I'm referring specifically to the telecommunication infrastructure, but also for enterprises to optimize the quality of service and the operational efficiency, and also in using those tools to solve problems in the society in general, specifically verticals such as sustainability and education and healthcare. And that's, in terms of the tools, they are well reflected in the capability and the skills we have in the center. So in terms of the outputs of the center, another definition, another meaning of a smart community is educating the public. So we do extensive outreach activities to educate especially professionals in data science and the impact of the technology at a high level and how it can be utilized within organizations and within the society in general. We have since 2015, we have trained, I think, upwards of 250 professionals, both in the public and the private sector here in the UAE. And Professor Ernesto Damiani is leading that effort. In terms of the innovation or the output, so we focus heavily on intellectual property creation, and we're pleased, we're very honored at the beginning of this year we won the Most Inventive Research Center award by the Ministry of Economy and Department of Economic Development. And in the photo at the bottom here, you see me and my boss, Dr. Steve Griffiths, as well, receiving the award. And you see the logos above the photo to the right, on the right side. These are some of the technologies we are currently spinning off. So the center, again, there's an investment by the government and Khalifa University and also industrial stakeholders. So there is an expectation of a return on investment. So we're actively working on monetizing our patent portfolio, which is, we have about 60 patents, either through licensing or through spinning off as startups. Here, some of the projects I want to highlight. And so one of the themes we have is enterprise resource optimization. So in terms of demand forecasting and capacity planning and optimizing the resources. So this is one of the mature technologies that we have. It's been applied for stakeholders here in the UAE to manage, for example, for Etisalat. I mean, you predict the faults and you allocate your technicians based on demand, but it's also been applied and deployed in the UK as well. And these are some snapshots from the tools that we have developed. For the tool, so this is the one to the left, kind of 10 o'clock. And 2 o'clock, this is one of our flagship projects that basically is used by Etisalat to design the fiber to the home network. So we're really proud of this achievement. This tool automates the design and optimizes the design of the fiber to the home network. It minimizes the cost of the hardware, but also it speeds up the design from the productivity from 14 days kind of average design time to half a day. As you just saw, it becomes fully automated. So this is also another achievement that we're proud of. On the bottom left corner, so we have it's one of the other technologies. It's part of our text analytics theme. So we use it heavily for social media. This dashboard is we're using now to track the sentiment around topics related to COVID-19 in the UAE and globally. But also we're just, since we're talking about smart communities, the municipal government here and the municipality in Abu Dhabi has asked us to apply this also to some of the apps they're developing to encourage collaboration or to encourage the ties within a community. So this is also one of the maybe relevant projects we have. And also we work heavily with the intelligent transportation, especially with the traffic departments here, using whatever data to predict accidents and help with managing the transportation network. And this is my last slide. So and this is maybe hopefully also a view towards collaboration. So we have a solid, as I mentioned, collaboration with Italy, especially with Milano in terms of research. But since we're spinning off technology, we're looking forward to maybe even more ties on the innovation side, especially that for partnership on the local tech ecosystem. So yeah, this is something that hopefully we're looking forward as our technologies are progressing through the pipeline. And on that, I will leave it, and thank you very much for your attention. I hope that was helpful.
Well done. Thank you so much, Nawaf. You've been actually in the time, so perfect. Questions are coming. There is also a question for you, but we will keep questions shortly after this session. And so please be with us for the next 20 minutes or so. Steve, we can go with you.
Yes, thank you, Cesare. Apologies for the technical issue. If you can just let me know when the slides are showing, I think we'll be in good shape now.
Showing.
Fantastic. So apologies once again. I will step back because my intention is to tell you a little bit about what's happening in the UAE at a broader level, and also Khalifa University and smart cities, a really important topic, one that I'm pursuing myself, and so I'm quite keen on sharing some insights with everybody today. I'll start off by everyone knows, and I think Nawaf just covered it quite well. Smart cities is largely a concept that has evolved very quickly because of technological platforms that become available in the recent years. And there's no shortage of startup companies now trying to address every sector of the smart cities across power and buildings and transportation, light industry, health, and so on and so forth. And so I'll cover that in a moment. I think on the technology side, clearly there's a very good opportunity for the Internet of Things, high-speed communication networks, now low Earth orbit satellites providing data, lots of ways in which we can bring data to intelligent systems to provide analytics, AI, of course, artificial intelligence, something we talk about quite a bit today, to provide value, potentially provide value. But of course, we know that a smart city is not just a collection of technologies. And in fact, the notion of city itself is not always so clear. It can be a small town in Norway up to a mega city with more than 10 million people. Say we talk about Tokyo in Japan. And these cities, they're very important, no matter how you define it. They're very important. They're where more than half the world's population is. It's going to be much more than that by 2050, probably 70%. And they produce the majority of the world's output. Importantly, though, this non-collection of technologies is not just a major source of population growth and also economic growth. It's a source of carbon emissions and energy consumption. So in the UAE's definition of the smart city, we include the notion of sustainability. I think that was reflected by His Excellency early on, is a city needs to be more than just a collection of technologies which are connected in some way. They need to serve a purpose. And so under sustainability, we look at the environment, we look at the economy, we look at the social welfare. And so that brings a lot of opportunities to have impact across a lot of different areas. I won't go through all of them, but you can see healthcare, safety, convenience, living, jobs, environment is clearly important. These are all areas in which we're going to talk about technologies. We'll show what we're doing at Khalifa University very briefly. As far as how Abu Dhabi and Dubai and the UAE in general is doing, it's very good. And this was also, His Excellency brought up earlier, that the UAE has been at the forefront of smart cities. You can see this is a McKinsey report, 2018, fairly recent, showed the ranking of MENA smart cities. And so these aren't our project cities, such as Masdar City. These are our major cities. And here, Dubai and Abu Dhabi are at the forefront across the diverse areas in which we need to have technological impact. And the topic today, transportation, of course, you can see mobility is an area where investment has happened quite strongly. So in the technological sense, the UAE is a regional leader, and it makes us very happy here at Khalifa University to have the opportunity to do something to benefit this initiative that the country's taken around smart and sustainable cities. Now, when it gets to the R&D, before I get into Khalifa University, I only show this slide not to go through all of the many different technologies and technology applications that one can think about in the smart city, but rather show the number, because it really gives you a sense that when you talk smart city, you're talking about a system. It's a dynamic growing system, and you have to look at things from a systems perspective. And that is what we do at Khalifa University. And so what makes this interesting is, of course, the mobility aspect, which is coming and is part of the overall concept for today's discussion. And then I'll also talk a little bit more about the healthcare because of the current pandemic. But in general, there's many areas having impact, and these are just two topics that we can cover a little bit because of their importance. Coming back to the systems notion, however, Khalifa University, what makes this discussion simple for me is our strategy really is about integrated systems. And so we break our strategy at Khalifa University into sectors, which you see across the top. We cover energy broadly, healthcare, aerospace, aeronautics, astronautics, and supply chain logistics, and then platforms. All the fourth industrial revolution platforms which enable a smart city to be smart, we're able to cover through our robotics, AI, data science, and ICT work, and then advanced materials and manufacturing as well. Additive manufacturing, again, it's a convergence between the digital and the materials world, and we cover that at KU. Importantly, I said system, it's all about integration. And so like a city, our strategy looks to have verticals crossed and platforms feed into these verticals as they work together. And so really we have an opportunity to do quite a bit of impactful research here at KU in the city's domain. I won't go through all of our centers. The way we operationalize, though, our strategy is through centers and institutes. We have 18 research centers. We have 3 institutes, some of them more relevant to cities than others. Mazar Institute, of course, Clean Energy, Water, Environment. We have a healthcare initiative, 2 centers, and then our Robotics Artificial Intelligence Institute, of which EBTIC is a key collaborator. And as you've seen in Nawaf's presentation earlier, they're doing quite a bit of smart cities R&D in that center, which is affiliated with the Institute. So these centers and institutes allow us to undertake the R&D across diverse areas, which contribute to a framework of intelligence for cities in the region. And I have a very limited time today, so I'm only going to quickly go through some various projects that I think are interesting, and we can always talk about them in discussion. We have a lab, it's called the Environmental and Geosciences Lab at the Mazar Institute. We are one of the best in the region in environmental remote sensing, collecting satellite data and utilizing that through artificial intelligence and other analytics to create value. So for instance, we work with the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment to build them an AI lab for climate monitoring and forecasting. Health in a city, knowing what the level of pollutant is in the atmosphere in the local context is critical, and so we support that. Renewable energy integration, a city in the future is going to be powered by clean energy, has to be able to predict solar sources or wind or whatever the intermittent source is and match that with demand. We've done that for Saudi Arabia. We're looking to do that here locally. We've built the system. These are systems that KU has developed through these pictures you're seeing. We have 2 centers, which I think are extraordinarily important to smart city, the Cyber Physical Systems, which is also IoT. Center covers really the end-to-end of what is artificial intelligence in my view. You collect the data, you transmit that data through hopefully a high-speed network to a place where it's stored and analyzed, and then you take some kind of action. Along the way, you have cybersecurity, and the center is extraordinarily good in cybersecurity. And without cybersecurity, you can't really have a secure, smart city. So that center is doing quite a bit in that regard. The Autonomous Robotic Systems Center has 3 areas: infrastructure inspection, extreme environments, industrial applications. The embodiment of AI is what we're doing here. And if you're going to live in a city, you don't want AI to be an abstract concept. You'd like to see it embodied some way. So we do it here, and we're also working on autonomous vehicles. And I'll mention that next slide, which is part of a collaboration with KAIST in Korea. We have a joint research center, which has 2 areas: smart transport and smart healthcare. Smart transport, we're looking at autonomy. Korea is, of course, South Korea is one of the most advanced countries in the world in smart cities and in artificial intelligence and advanced technology. And they're working with us on this. There's also the wireless charging of vehicles. So if you're gonna have a smart electric vehicle, you'd like it to be efficient, and it could be efficient by wirelessly charging. So we work on that with KAIST, and also smart healthcare. I think that's a huge opportunity. As I mentioned before, health, and I'll mention it one more time before I end, is that health, given the pandemic, is an area that we have to continue to build into cities. For safety, I think in the region it's particularly interesting because we have very tall buildings, and you imagine you don't have a hook and ladder firefighting capability to get to the top of the Burj Khalifa. So we're looking at drones which can deliver firefighting capabilities to the top of a 800-meter, 1,000-meter building. Extraordinarily difficult challenge, to build a drone that can carry up enough infrastructure with it to put out a fire. And so we're working with Emaar on this. I think it's a very exciting project. No more hook and ladder trucks when you have these kilometer-high buildings. It's going to have to be a different technology. I think robotics can do quite a good job there. And then also I've come back to healthcare. You know, with COVID-19, we have a huge program in health-related technological research, med devices, digital capabilities, and then of course modeling epidemiology. Here I just mentioned one project which I think can be the basis for a very important intelligence system for the future in cities. We're looking at wastewater in the UAE. We're working with partners, including the Department of Health and the Ministry of Interior, to detect COVID in wastewater. Now, right now, it's not online sensors yet, but I think that's where it'll all move. In the future, we don't know what other pandemics are coming, but if we're ready with online intelligent wastewater analysis systems in cities to really be able to understand where outbreaks are happening, the kind of things we're seeing with COVID-19 won't happen. And so I'm fortunately able to convey that we're doing quite a bit already, laying foundations for this type of work at Khalifa University. I think we have a great opportunity for this to go ahead in the future. So I'll finish, given the time. I don't want to go over too much. Basically, what I'm conveying in this slide is that the UAE is a home to prosperous communities. Abu Dhabi and Dubai, they have relatively low population, good wealth, and we can really be at the forefront of important work in smart cities. I would say that given the COVID pandemic, we do need to continue to push forward in health, telemedicine and the like will be very important. Also energy, environment, mobility. I didn't get too much into mobility, but I did mention autonomous systems. And I'd say already from what I have studied and what I do in my own work, the UAE really is doing a good job, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, in trying to build intelligent mobility systems, including soft mobility, going without cars. Even though the climate we have is not that amenable, we're moving in that direction. And so with that, I'll stop. Once again, thank you for the invitation to present to you what's happening at Khalifa UAE, and turn back to Cesare.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Steve. A very interesting overview of our activities at Khalifa and comprehensive. It's good also for us sometimes to really see who is doing what in our university. And so now it's the turn of Antonio Pugliafito. Is director of a lab called Smart Cities and Communities Lab within the National Italian Consortium for Informatics. So thank you very much, Professor Antonio, and we are here to see what you're... Yes.
Thank you very much, and good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I will start with sharing the screen. I think you should see the presentation. Is it on your screen?
Yep. Yep.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much, and especially to the Ambassador of Italy at the Emirates, Dr. Nicola Lerner, for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to present some of the activities, research and development activities that we are carrying out in Italy inside the CINI. CINI is a consortium of several universities, all focused on computer science, computer engineering, and it involves a quite large number of researchers in several disciplines related to this area. Inside this consortium, we have several labs, national labs. One of these is the Smart Cities and Communities Lab that I'm leading at the moment. And as the name says, it is specifically focused on smart cities and all the technology problem, development problem associated with smart city development. We are very much interested in using open technologies and also trying to develop living labs on the environment that can be used to test and share solutions and new services for the cities. Reusing is a very important topic that we try to adopt when we can. The strategy that we see in a possible cooperation with the Emirates goes through Professor Damiani, as already mentioned. It is also the CINI president, and for us is a sort of facilitator to enhance the activity that we can bring there. And of course, so the cooperation with Khalifa University and Dubai Future Foundation. We are willing to cooperate and ready to share some experience that we are gaining in this area. So now back to smart city that are already been defined as something complex environment. And depending on who is the user of a smart city, we have different problems to be addressed. So if we are at the city manager level, what is important is to drive efficiency, to provide sustainability, and develop decision-making tools so to faster and reliable decision to be taken on the city. Of course, there is the business side where what is interesting is to have an environment that can be transparent, efficient, competitive to promote products and services. And of course, last but not least, are the citizen. And we have to improve inclusiveness, derive and develop new services, and try to improve the overall quality of life of the citizens themselves. So smart cities are a microcosm, quite complex, of several interconnected objects and subsystems. IoT, Internet of Things, is a technology extremely useful and important to be used in this environment. Other technologies are related to communication, 5G, edge computing, cloud computing, and more. And of course, so we have to deal with a huge number of data, so big data that we have to collect and then store and analyze in the proper way to understand what is happening and to take the right decision. And we have to be inclusive. We have to have human and the people, the citizen, in the center of any strategy that we can try to devise. I like, and I call this the 3M model, where given a city, a complex environment, we have to monitor on one side. That means sense, observe the city, communicate and exchange data. Then we need models of the environment, of the subsystem, of the city, or part of the city that can be run on this data to analyze, understand, and forecast what probably is going to happen. And then we have to manage the environment. That means a sort of a retroaction and actuate action on the city, controlling valves, part of the system, and so on. So this is the general schema that we have to implement. And when we consider that the subsystems, the objects that are present in such a complex environment are in the terms of 10,000, 100,000, million on this device, okay, you can easily understand the complexity that is behind all of this. The services that we want to develop may change depending on who is the user at that point. So with regard to the city manager, the municipality, they are definitely interested in traffic control, in the monitoring of the quality of the air, trust management, mobility in general. Business, they want data to be collected. They would like to have in the condition to drive innovation, develop new service, saving money, of course. And citizens, they are definitely interested in a specific solution for parking, for avoiding traffic jam, to predict trajectory when they are moving. They want to have their house connected, and they want to participate, being part of the game. So the situation is that these environments are quite complicated, sometimes frustrating, because you have to put together not only technological issue, but also administrative, social aspects that are quite complicated to put all together. So sometimes the word smart city is overhyped, but definitely smart city represents the future, because most of the population is moving toward the city, and we have to develop new strategy and solution to deal such big problem. Overall, more or less, we have more than 150 cities that have announced some kind of smart city strategy. Among these, more or less 15, 110, they have really strategies, and they are published some real documents where they explain how to provide new strategy and implement. But only, again, half of them, about 8, they are providing some real implementation. So there is still lots of work to be done and cooperation. The path is quite long, is very challenging, maybe difficult, but extremely interesting. And we cannot do and succeed if we don't do all these things together. I think that the main word is collaboration. Collaboration between the different actors, not only at the technical level, research level, administrative, industry, all together. We have a great challenge in front of us, and all together probably we can succeed. This is what we try to do inside CINI, cooperating with different actors. I am here talking about an environment that is named Stack4Things. It derives originally from crowdfunding initiatives that started 3 years ago. And we decided to start from the bottom. We wanted to involve the municipality, the citizen, people living in the area of the city of Messina, asking and trying to understand what they were interested in. They contributed to this project. putting some money. Also at that point, some public administration and companies were involved, and we started. After 1 year, we had a new environment that is named Stack4Things. It's a totally open source environment derived from OpenStack, an open source big project worldwide, well known. And we add a new component that is named exactly Stack4Things, that is the IoT dimension that complements the computing, networking, storage part traditionally offered by OpenStack. It is an unofficial project of OpenStack. The scientific community is aware of this project. They are using, and we are also using in different applications. What is important is that through this open source environment, objects, devices distributed in the system are part of the infrastructure. We can implement edge computing, core computing strategy. We can control fleet of devices, so we have the control of the environment. Some industrial activity started also. Companies were created, and we now produce a board that is named Arancino. Okay, it's a typical street food that we have in Sicily. That is simple outside, but very rich inside and very tasteful. So this board is an integration of Arduino microcontroller and Raspberry Pi microprocessor in the same device. It's a Linux device, easily expandable thanks to some slot that can host clip components that are widely available on the market. It can be specialized to provide different services. It is currently used as the underlying infrastructure for environmental monitoring station, LoRaWAN gateway, energy management device, and so on. This is the final idea that we are implementing, what I call software-defined city, an environment where the low level, that is the city, is complemented with all these boards that are able to sense the environment, collect data, transfer in a virtual representation that includes also computing, storage, and networking, and everything. Decisions are taken, and then we go back to the system through actuation. This is the vision that we are implementing, where we had a project that is concluded just in these days, named ToolSmart. Is a own project in Italy that involved the city of Turin, Padua, Messina, Lecce, and Syracuse, where we have installed the environment, and at the moment something like some hundreds of environmental monitoring station. We cooperated with the administration, and they learn how to install and use this open source environment and the devices. I also forgot to mention that Arancino is an open hardware project. Everything is open, also the data. So this is the strategy that we are adopting. And now we are also discussing with other cities, not only in Italy, like Tanger and Wolfsburg, where they already installed some smart camera to count people and control anti-COVID situation where people are too many in one single area. Okay. Some services that we have experimented and we are using are regarding environmental monitoring, smart parking, lighting and energy, fleet monitoring, car sharing, smart cameras, and more. Also in the industrial sector, we regard the monitoring of critical infrastructure, bridges, and tunnels. Okay, so all of this requires lots of technologies and provides big challenges. So convergence of different technologies, openness is important, interoperability, 5G network, and maybe also beyond, edge computing, orchestration of services, the use of machine learning and intelligence to analyze a huge amount of data that have to be considered, and of course, skills. We have to train young people, new generation with this technology, because they will be the citizen of the future, and we already did in several situations in the city of the project ToolSmart, creating class, and this was an idea that we started with Console in Boston a couple of years ago, where we delivered training courses to students that have not specific competence in technology, but we were able to teach them. In short, they were playing and using these devices. The same already was done in Turin and Padua with very, very great results. So Agostini is ready to cooperate, and we want to share and bring to you some of the technology, the little contribution that we already gave in this field. And also we want to learn from your case study, from your knowledge. I think that cooperation is the right way to go. Thank you very much for your attention, and ready for questions.
Thank you very much. Questions are coming. We are taking notes. We will have, maybe we can answer a couple of questions per session. Unfortunately, schedule is very tight today. Now we give the floor to Dubai Future Foundation representative Patrick Noack. He's the executive director for Future Foresight and Imagination. And so with a little variation respect to the agenda we originally circulated, because this speaker has to leave soon. So please, Patrick, you can share your presentation now.
Hi, good afternoon. I don't have a presentation. I don't have any slides to say. I'm just going to speak off the cuff.
Okay.
First off, apologies, I'm not wearing a tie, but I hope the background will make up for that, and you're not going to focus on the absence of a tie. Apologies, I have to leave at 1 o'clock sharp, so thank you for moving me up in the schedule here. So it's going to be very much less of a technical talk than we've been hearing so far, because I'm really not a technical expert. At DFF, I run 3 teams, and we explore a number of technologies and their application in the future. So we are predominantly concerned with the arising policy and regulatory questions, in addition to what specific technology investments might deliver for Dubai. So I like to think about mobility and transport in the context of an evolutionary continuum, if you will, and of course within a wider ecosystem. Mobility and locomotion tools and technologies come and go and have come and gone over time. They're superseded by more efficient transportation methods that can cater to a greater number of people and goods. And if you look back at history, this has been borne out. Even within individual mobility technologies, we can observe a pathway from science to technology, and then on to industries that cater to mass markets. And for us, that is a very, very important progression, because it helps us to think already now of the possible implications and consequences of transport and mobility for the future. And in so doing, we can examine the policy implications to prevent unintended consequences and also deal with preventable surprises. So one case in point is the continuous growth of the electric vehicle market. Last year alone, data shows that over 2 million electric vehicles were sold globally. And at the science stage, questions around batteries are extremely, extremely different to the questions that need to be asked around technology stages. And those, again, are radically different to the questions that need to be explored around regulation, around mass production of batteries, sourcing of materials, verification of supply chains, and disposing of spent materials at the end of life of a product. So that is really just one example that we, to highlight that we need to act now through, for example, codes of best practice, so that the industry does not reproduce environmental, labor, and climate issues, as we are observing with combustion engine powered cars, as well as other industries. So I think we're right now on the verge of an electric vehicle breakthrough because of the environmental challenges that we have been creating with previous technologies. But at the same time, we all want better mobility, cheaper mobility, more tailored to us and to our needs, and more environmentally friendly. So we need to ensure that we don't recreate the same challenges that we have created with previous technologies and industries. So I think right now, the onus, the responsibility is on us collectively to anticipate both potential solutions and the problems they are likely to create. Right now, I think it's fair to say that transport and mobility are incredibly important, and the presentations have demonstrated that. The UK government has recently, a few weeks ago, released an examination of countless technologies that the UK government is aiming to prioritize within its Regulatory Horizons Council. It may not come as a surprise to you that transport and mobility is a sector that has, or the technologies within that sector have represented 8 out of the top 20 technologies and 4 out of the top 5. So it is massively important, not just for individuals' movements around cities and between cities, but also for logistics and trade. So for the UK and likely for other governments, this is just going to remain a massively important and top issue because of the impact on lives, on economies, and the environment. So specifically in Dubai, some of the main topics include, of course, smart and dynamic roads, autonomous micromobility, which is basically last mile transport, shared transportation, smart logistics, and of course DP World is a big player in this, and drones, as well as so much more. So within all of this, the element of data, big data, and how to go about sharing data will enable new, I think, improved and certainly safe mobility and connected business models. So we're exploring what an open data landscape might look like here in this part of the world. So countless policy questions are emerging around data, which include, but are certainly not restricted to, ownership, governance, source, and so much more. So at DFF, at the Dubai Future Foundation, we take and enable an integrated systems dynamic look at these futures by developing research. And we work, you may not be familiar with all of our programs because it's quite a big outfit, but we work with an accelerator. We run 10X to keep Dubai 10 years ahead. We have Dubai Future Labs, which examine a whole host of technologies, including autonomous robots, autonomous vehicles, etc. We work with the Reg Lab to think about the regulation. They provide regulatory sandboxes to ensure that innovation is promoted and that technology is deployed safely. And also, I think it's really to make sure that that interface between new products and regulation continues to drive innovation over the coming years. So really the key point of what I'm trying to say here is that as science becomes technology and as technology becomes industrial scale and mass production, we need to anticipate implications and hedge for them. So basically it's before reaching a point of no return, and at the same time we want to make sure we don't hamper any kind of innovation. And that's really all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. I think now we have time for a couple of questions before moving to Edoardo Croci, our next speaker. So one question is about education. So maybe here, Steve, we can answer about a person asking if there are university majors recommended to encourage young people to study to serve the concept of smart cities and accelerate the process of urban transformation and development. So programs, education programs, if we are planning to start, if some of our programs are relevant.
Sure, I'll take that question. I think it's a good one because the future of smart cities is having the manpower that's able to put together the concepts and ideas that are going to make them viable. So when I look at a smart city, one of the areas that's most important is to plan it from the beginning in a way that's going to allow it to be intelligent. So I think any student that wants to be able to get into the city itself would want to look for programs that can look at the future of urban planning environments. So if you're going to have an intelligent transportation network, intelligent building network, all the programs I hope today that are going into urban planning would start to bring the smart cities concepts into the picture. If you're more of a technologically focused student, and you want to build new technologies which will be able to be implemented in smart cities, any university that's offering a strong program in electrical engineering and computer science, most of the time now will have the ability to train a student in the use of tools around artificial intelligence. So data science, the whole ICT framework I was talking about, cybersecurity is of course a fundamental of that. The tools to make this work are brought fundamentally through knowledge in electrical engineering, computer science, and these disciplines. And of course, then a student can be a specialist in robotics and applications of robotics, and then work with those people that plan the cities to do the implementation. So I'd say if you're a student today, you really want to think about where you would want to be bringing your perspective when you go into your career. Do you want to be at a higher systems level, looking at how the city's laid out, how the city's organized, or do you want to be a technologist which gets behind the planners and helps to develop the technologies to be implemented? And so that to me would be the most important decision to make. And these days, I mean, either one would be very exciting. I would be, I spend probably as much of my time talking about what should be done with urban planning so that we can make autonomous vehicles work as I do saying we should have autonomous vehicles. So, it's probably more answers could be given, but that would be my first thought.
Thank you. Thank you. We have another question for Nawaf in particular, EPTIC director. Where is the UAE located in the global smart city map? So,
I think,
yeah.
at the risk of sounding deflective, but I think Steve has already elucidated the picture, and you know, I think there was even a spot-on figure in his slide that answers this question, that both Abu Dhabi and Dubai are at the top, especially in the MENA region. But
Okay.
I think if I may add another dimension, is that definitely the current position or the current standing is not seen as enough by the stakeholders. There's a strong push to advance the adoption of technologies and the you know, the value, you know, the different dimensions of value to the constituents and the inhabitants of smart cities.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nawaf. I think we need to move to the next speakers. Time is a bit tight. And is Edoardo Croci, the coordinator of the Green Economy Observatory and Smart City Observatory at University Bocconi, Milan. So welcome, Edoardo. Thank you for your availability.
Thank you, Ambassador, for the invitation. I will take the chance to present in a few seconds our university, Bocconi University. Bocconi is a top-ranking university specialized in economics, business, and laws in Milan, with an international scope. About 25% of both students and faculty come from abroad. And in Bocconi, there is a specific research center called Green, which is devoted to several topics linked to sustainability and also to smart cities. In particular, inside Bocconi, I lead a smart city observatory, which is devoted to these specific topics. Now, let's see. This is a short description of the activities of our Smart City Observatory. The observatory is funded by 12 leading companies in the energy, real estate, and mobility sector. And our approach is an approach based on economics and laws at the same time, also because when we speak about smart cities, economic aspects are interlinked with policy and legal issues. Our method is to organize several seminars and workshops where we present our own studies, or we give the opportunity to our partners to present their cases and strategies. And then we foster dialogue and discussion, and we also write policy briefs in order to influence regulation. The key topics of our observatory are urban regeneration. In particular, as I said, we have an economic approach. Our interest is in the generation of value through regeneration. Energy renovation of a building stock. This is a very hot topic in Italy in this moment, also because of incentives, economic incentives to energy efficiency. And third, urban mobility linked to the transformation of the built environment, which is also an important topic of integration related to urban development and mobility, which must go together. Beyond the observatory, we are active in Bocconi with several activities linked to both teaching and research. Among research activity, the most relevant one is the participation in this moment to an Horizon 2020 project. Horizon 2020 projects are European funded research projects. This project called the Match-Up is interesting because it's a so-called lighthouse project A lighthouse project is a large project. This is a 5 years long project with about 20 million euros budget, which wants to demonstrate innovative solutions through the application of innovative technologies in cities in 3 domains: energy, mobility, and ICT. Bocconi, through our research center Green, is a partner of this project with 28 partners from 8 countries. And we are now experimenting innovative solutions in 3 leading cities: Dresden in Germany, Valencia in Spain, and Antalya in Turkey. In particular, we are responsible for the study and definition of innovative business models and financial mechanisms for smart city solutions, bringing both private and public partners. And we are also responsible for the economic and financial evaluation of the projects implemented in these cities. About 100 pilot projects are experimented in this phase in the mobility domain, in particular regarding sharing mobility, electric mobility, and also traffic management. As I said, we are particularly involved in the business models, and we are interested in creating, delivering, and capturing value, both private value and public value. As the ambassador started with the definition of smart city, he illustrated that the innovative aspect and the social aspect are both important, and we try to evaluate through monetary evaluation both these aspects. An interesting point is that we don't study the single initiatives one by one, but we try to study action bundles, which means that in several cases, innovative smart city solutions go together, merged in specific innovative infrastructure or services. Think about lampposts, where you have you can recharge your electric car, you can use photovoltaics to generate energy, you can provide Wi-Fi services, and so on. So really the generation of value comes out of economies of scope deriving from different domains, and of course from economies of scale, bringing to a larger scale these solutions. Again, this also has been already mentioned in previous presentations. When we speak about value, we have to think to different actors. Of course, there is a public actor, which has a social scope, looking at economic aspects, social aspects, quality of life, environmental sustainability. We look at firms, where the generation of revenue opportunities and the generation of startups and the increase of efficiency and productivity are relevant aspects. And then we also have to consider citizens, where cost savings, higher productivity, and well-being and inclusion are relevant aspects in smart cities. So I would say it's not just the technological aspect, which of course is at the basis of the concept of smart cities, but it is the capacity to deliver several kinds of values deriving from these innovations. To conclude, as we are in Milan, as I am in Milan now, Bocconi is in Milan, I think it's interesting to mention that there are several smart city rankings at the European, global, and Italian level. Now I took one at the Italian scale. In this ranking, which of course depends on the choice of indicators and on the weight given to the indicators, we have several domains considered: economic stability, sustainable mobility, environmental protection, social quality, government capacity, and digital transformation. In this ranking, which is very well known, called ICT ranking in Italy, Milan appears in the first position. And I think this is an interesting aspect, because several pilots are going on in Milan at this purpose. And here I took another ranking, E&Y ranking, which is more devoted on resilience of Italian cities in the period of COVID-19, considering in particular 3 domains: resilience of basic infrastructures, resilience of communication networks, and capacity of city control and governance. And again, Milan appears in first position among over 100 metropolitan cities in Italy. And to conclude, in this week and next week, the Milan municipality is organizing a large consultation of stakeholders about the future of the city. Our university, our research center, and myself led the consultation on the topic of ecological transition and sustainable transition. And again, the topic of smart city came out as a very relevant topic. So in some way, I think that Milan and our university, Bocconi, can bring some interesting perspectives and specifically looking at sustainable development and economic development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And very interesting. More questions are coming, but we need to go on with the presentations. By the way, if some of the questions are not answered online, we will answer later by email or by. Okay, I think also using this platform. So thank you, Edoardo Croci. Very interesting overview of the field, and in this particular reference to the Italian, let's say, situation. And now I leave the floor to Sergio Gambacorta, the head of Smart City Innovability of Enel, the Italian player for energy. So thank you, Sergio, for joining this session.
Thank you to you. Thank you, everybody, for the invitation. I'll share a presentation in order to quickly introduce what is doing Enel X in the smart city world. First of all, let's say that our main goals are around these 4 pillars: decarbonization, electrification, digitalization, and customer centricity. All the digital transformation that we are addressing as Enel X is around these 4 pillars, because we think that these 4 pillars are the basis in order to build a smart city and to build also energy efficiency services for all the customers. As Enel X, for sure, we are the innovative company of Enel Group that is a leading network operator, is the world's largest private player in renewables. We have a very large customer base worldwide, and as Enel X, we are also leader in demand response services. As mentioned, all our activities are focused on supporting a sustainable development of the ecosystem. This is why for decarbonization and electrification, we are always addressing challenge of Sustainable Development Goal number 7. For enabling infrastructure and ecosystem and platform, we are taking a look to the challenge number 9 and 11, and everything is contributing to challenge number 13 with climate action. All the elements are conceived and addressed in order to support this challenge. We have an Italian headquarters for sure in Rome, but we have as well a global footprint as Enel X. We are operating in North America, South America, Europe, Oceania, and Asia. And our world is all around these 6 global product line, because we are answering to government, private, and residential customer needs with the global business line ECT, industry, and EU. And we are addressing cross-segment innovation with the e-mobility, financial services, and ultra-broadband product line. But apart of this very short introduction, I would like to go in depth with our role in the city, because we are supporting city in end-to-end services, starting from the underground infrastructure with the ultra-broadband connectivity, arriving to the energy and transportation infrastructure, where, for example, we have a charging station and e-mobility services, going to public areas and green areas where we are managing public lighting, for example, arriving to buildings in which we'll deploy our flexibility and energy efficiency solution that are managed in terms of urban flows of energy with our digital platform. And last but not least, we are addressing also the planning capability, supporting public administration with big data analysis to set up their services and their infrastructure, taking into account what is the real citizen demand. So basically, the services we are moving around are public lighting, architectural lighting, energy efficiency, digital services, street furniture, as well as electric public transport. But to arrive to the scope of this sharing, I would like to share with you also what we are doing as Innovation Product Lab department in order to go beyond the state of the art and support public administration cities in creating the new smarter city. Basically, our goal is always taking into account the sustainability aspects to scout the most relevant technologies in order to fine-tune them according to the specific customer need. And I prepared a very short selection of a Smart City Innovation Project just to give you a picture of what we are doing in this year. The first solution I would like to share with you is the adaptive lighting. For us, is the new frontier of the lighting efficiency. So basically, by collecting in real time, thanks to cameras and computer vision, the condition of weather, traffic, and luminance, we are addressing the increase or decrease of lighting power accordingly. This for sure has the goal to increase the efficiency because, for example, in our test field, we have seen around 36.5% of energy saving, while at city level, the saving could be estimated at around 11%. But at the same time, the goal of this solution is also to increase resiliency, to help public administration to react to unexpected events like incident and so on, by dimming the lighting power accordingly. As well as mentioned also in the previous speech, another very relevant topic is enabling synergy, leveraging on same technologies to deliver different services. So thanks to the adaptive lighting, for example, we can create some synergy in smart traffic monitoring as well as street security. This solution has been recently awarded by the World Economic Forum that listed as one of the most innovative and impactful solutions in the energy sector in the last 10 years. Remaining at public lighting level, another very relevant solution that we have addressed during this emergency is related to the capability to address the lighting sensors with remote sensing, leveraging on satellite imageries and artificial intelligence in order to detect remotely the position and status of lighting poles. This has been a very impactful project for both operational cost reduction as well as time reduction, but also for increase of safety by considering that thanks to this solution, it's not required to put man on field in order to address sensors. And then arriving to the city analytics, that it's another project that we are addressing to support public administration in planning their services. Let's say that basically we are collecting data from different sources, from open data, geolocation data, from solution data. And we are addressing with ad hoc algorithm the creation of relevant and actionable output for public administration, like user presence estimation, origin destination metrics, traffic flow evaluation, and so on. And very relevant point that I would like to share with you today is that also during this emergency, we have rushed And in 20 days, we have redesigned our city analytics solution to try to support Italy and then Spain and Brazil in facing the emergency of COVID-19 by designing this city analytics mobility map. That it's a solution that is available for everyone, for citizen, public administration, company, and unlock the possibility to evaluate what is the variation of movement that we had at regional, provincial, and city level. This is been designed, first of all, to help public administration during the lockdown period to measure the effectiveness of policies, and then to support central and local government in defining the policy for the return to normality, as well as to raise the citizen awareness to increase the adoption of sustainable mobility behavior, and to support as well the data-driven approach in the decision-making of public administration. We'll be live until the end of December with the solution, and we are keep on improving it according to the feedback that we are collecting from public administration in Italy, Spain, and Brazil. Just a quick snapshot regarding what is the adoption. At the moment, we have 3.5 million hits and 300,000 unique users for maps, and more than 1,015 public administration have registered in NLX portal Urban to collect additional data like the origin destination metrics. We have tried also to increase the awareness regarding the importance of more sustainable and safe mobility behavior through media, and we have had a very good coverage, let's say, of 400 media articles from press, TV, and web. And moving to the last, but the solution, I would like to spend very few words regarding our e-bus approach, because as mentioned, we are focused on sustainable and electric mobility, and we are a partner for the end-to-end process from the electric urban public transport analysis to charging strategy and energy efficiency infrastructure until the smart city services deploy in order to enable cost saving, the increase of sustainability, and as well as with very high flexibility in order to take into account what are the specific needs of public administration. Just to give you a very quick snapshot, I would like to share the Santiago de Chile project, in which we have deployed 5 electric terminals and 120 charging points, all from renewable energies, to support the management of a fleet of around 300 buses, electric buses. We deployed as well 40 smart bus shelter with integrated services like the video analysis for security, photovoltaic, Wi-Fi, and so on. And we have supported also in the delivery of the digital ticket payment, the advisory on the route planning, and for sure the infrastructure installation and O&M. So for us, Smart City, it's all around sustainability and efficiency of services that can create an added value for citizens and an added value also for the resource of public administration that have to face this very relevant challenge for every one of us. I would like to thank you, everybody, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sergio. I think we have one question, which is quite relevant to what you presented. It is about how administration, government, local or central government can, let's say, deploy solutions in collaborations with large enterprise like Enel, for example. So the governmental component today is represented indirectly, I would say, but this is a big player, right, in this picture. So what is your view on the mechanism for connecting, let's say, industry with policymakers and in government?
Yeah, very good question. Let's say that the relationship with government is a very relevant topic to unlock the smart city. in our view. We have several ways to collaborate with public administration. We often analyze what our public administration needs, both in terms of services as well as in terms of financing the project. And we are open to evaluate project financing, public-private partnership, also R&D collaboration. If some services are not available to the market and needs to be tested on field. Collaboration with government is the key in our picture in order to realize effective services, because only taking into account what is the real demand, the real needs, the real pain point of public administration, we can deliver services that are really smart and can really have an impact on the city itself.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks to you.
So let's move to next speaker, Alia Almour, Director of Marketing and Communication from Smart Dubai. Thank you, Alia, very much for having accepted to participate in this webinar, and we are ready to listen from you.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you to Your Excellency for being here. And I'd like to thank Khalifa University and the Italian Embassy for inviting us, as well as our colleagues in the Dubai Future Foundation. So let me just share my screen. 1 second. And I start off my presentation. So basically, when Smart Dubai first started, it started as an initiative, and an initiative from the Executive Council in Dubai. And His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Prime Minister and Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and the ruler of Dubai, has given us one goal, and it is to make Dubai the happiest city on earth. A lot of people have the question in terms of, when you talk about smart cities, what is the link between smart cities and happiness? So really what we're doing here at Smart Dubai is we are leveraging and taking the power of technology and the benefit it can bring in to maximize the benefit of people's experiences, to make sure that they have a seamless and happy experience in the city. Eventually, it will add to them being basically happy citizens of the city of Dubai. And as a lot of you understand and know, that Dubai is called home for about 200 nationalities. So people tend to wonder, how do governments put together policies and regulations that are equal for everyone? So we have come up together with a scientific approach, and we call it the Dubai Happiness Agenda. The Dubai Happiness Agenda is a very incredible scientific approach, helps us understand the needs of people in the city. And then based on that, we create a particular baseline, a cultural baseline, from which we go and look into how do we put rules and regulations and strategies and initiatives that will serve everyone and all of the different people in the city of Dubai. And from everything that we have learned in terms of having all of this and the research that we have done, we've learned from basically the happiness agenda that in today's world, the main purpose and the main role of the government lies in three folds. The first one is transforming citizen experiences. The second is embracing emerging technologies. And the third one is building a data ecosystem. So when you look into transforming citizen experiences, here in Dubai, when we've asked around, we understood that one of the main struggling points for individuals is dealing with government services. So when you look into government services and why do people have it and perceive it as a pain point, it's because, think about it, when you want a certain service from the government, you have to get into your car, drive from point A to point B, you have sometimes to stand in line to get that particular service. And finally, all of that is not particularly environmentally friendly. So having all of that in mind, and Smart Dubai, what we've done in February 2018, we have launched the Dubai Paperless Strategy. And in this particular strategy, we are looking into how do we transform experiences and making sure that there is zero paper between government entity to government entity. So linking the back end in terms of system between the government entities, and at the same time, how do we basically digitize the services between government to consumer? And just to show you exactly what we have done, we're aiming to do all of that and to make sure that Dubai is a paperless city by end of 2021. And when we do all of that, what will happen? We are going to save around 250 million US dollars in money for the government. We are going to save for individuals 125 million hours for them to spend freely. And then we are able to save 130,000 trees across the world. Just to put that number into perspective, that is equivalent to 5 times the size of the Central Park in New York. So as part of the Dubai paperless strategy, one of the folds is the services from government to consumer. So we're going to, we are digitizing, and all of that has happened. We're digitizing these services. And when you have around 300 digital services, you don't expect individuals and constituents of the city to go and download 300 different apps. So we've collected so far on all of these services into one application, and it's called the Dubai Now app. The Dubai Now it has around 124 services from 33 government entities. And these services really vary from paying at the petrol station in a very incredible contactless manner, especially in this day and age. You are able to pay your electricity bill, your phone bills. You're able to basically sign contracts for your kids at schools and enroll them, all of that digitally. And when it comes to digital and doing all of these basically authentication, and you have a lot of your personal data online, how secure is it? And coming from that perspective, we have launched UAE Pass, which is a secure national digital identity linked to the Emirates ID, which is the formal identification available here in the UAE for everyone. And we've launched this with the Telecom Regulatory Authority in 2018. And it is basically what UAE Pass is. It is a single digital identity for everyone to basically help you access all different government services, whether websites or even applications, by one username and password. You are able to sign in for that particular service through your smartphone, and you are able to sign digitally all of your formal documents. So currently here in Smart Dubai, me as a director, and there are a lot of basically different forms and documents that I have to sign, I only sign them through UAE Pass, which is my secure national digital identity. So when we come through embracing emerging technologies, so the first fold of my presentation, I've touched upon digitizing the services to consumers. And now, and it's not only enough to look into all of these digital services. We want to make sure that there are a lot of emerging technologies such as AI and blockchain, and how do we take them to embrace them to make sure that help us cement Dubai to become the digital capital of the region. When looking into all of that, we have launched the Dubai blockchain strategy in 2016, and we looked into that 3 main pillars we've put together that are for the blockchain strategy. The first one is government efficiency, second is industry creation, and finally international leadership. When it comes to government efficiency, we've worked with the government and the private sector, and together we have identified the different use cases that could be used to basically help, that will help us with different scenarios here in the city. When we looked at industry creation, we wanted to make sure that Dubai has the proper infrastructure and puts in the proper legal policies to build a full-on blockchain ecosystem. And finally, when it comes to international leadership, we looked into how we can make sure that Dubai is looked into as the global leader when it comes to knowledge sharing of blockchain, and as well as the hub when it comes to implementation the blockchain technologies. So as blockchain, we have already, and we have AI. We've put together a one of its kind sort of an AI lab, and we've worked with a lot of the government, our government partners, and we have identified through the AI lab that cuts across a lot of different sectors, 43 use cases. And from them, they're currently being identified, and they're basically being tested. And we've worked together with 20 entities, and all of these use cases are going to basically have an impact on these 20 entities. And just to touch upon that, we, as everyone is aware, the AI solution and AI technology is constantly evolving. That's why in As part of Smart Dubai, what we're doing is we have actually put together an AI board, and that particular AI board is inclusive of government and the private sector. We have the likes of Microsoft and Google to make sure that we're always basically up to speed when it comes to AI. And because of that board, we have worked on it to make sure that, there's constant evolution and updates when it comes to AI. We have put together an AI ethical toolkit, which has been launched. We've launched it in January 2019. The AI toolkit is helping us to look into how do we make sure that all of the different AI solutions that are available here within the city or the country are basically, all of them are built in an ethical manner. So I wanted to make sure that that is done. And we've put together with this toolkit, so we have the guidelines and then we have an assessment tool. And for everyone who's building an AI, they can go into and check the assessment tool to make sure and to test how ethical their AI guidelines are. And all of this is actually available on our website, on the smartdubai.ae website for, if you want to test it out. Finally, data. So I'm just touching upon what I have real quick here, just for the sake of time. No digital transformation or even emerging of new technologies will be able to be manifested in its best in order for it to provide us with the best amazing results that will help the citizens if it is not backed up by data. And that's why we believe in a full-on holistic approach when it comes to data. And here in Smart Dubai, we wanted to make sure that we look into the value creation that data is going to give us. We looked into different ways for data governance. We looked into the infrastructure of data, and also how to make sure that the entire ecosystem is fully integrated and engaged together. And because of that, and how we believe that the importance of open data sharing, we have our open data platform, which is called Dubai Pulse. It is accessible for everyone. It has more than 600 data sets, government data sets, available for everyone to access. And it just shows the importance of the amount of open data for the government that's available to the public. And if anyone is interested to look into that, you can visit pulse.dubai for you to get more information. And also, just to add into that, we are actually also soon launching a decentralized data platform that will help us and encourage basically the private sector and the government sector to constantly engage and exchange data. And because knowledge sharing is very important here for us at Smart Dubai, we've launched in 2018 the Smart Cities Global Network. It is a network that hosts a lot of people from academia, scientists, and people who are very much into the smart cities world. And all of them are basically could be found, and they have a lot of open discussions on the network. So I would encourage you all to basically become members of our Smart Cities Global Network. And that concludes my presentation for today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to show you the digital transformation for Dubai. I hope I wasn't too fast.
No, it was perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing the vision and the actions that you are implementing to achieve this beautiful target, right, of having a full smart city in Dubai. What about your vision on at federal level, when the UAE can really have, since we are at the forefront, right, in the UAE of this transformation? Do you have like a tentative time or date when our cities will become fully smart?
See, every government entity, from a local or a government perspective, they all have their own basically departments to run the digital transformation. In Abu Dhabi, there is a particular entity that is work on it, which is Abu Dhabi Digital Authority, and it shows you the importance and the focus on a nation level for the UAE, why to make sure that the UAE is a digital. Is a full-on digital country. And just to highlight something, that the IMD's recent Smart Cities Index in 2020 ranked Abu Dhabi as the 42nd basically globally, and Dubai the 43rd. And basically that came out of the very recent index. And for the region itself, the UAE is one of the top leading countries. It shows you that the entire government is really, we're heavily working into this and wanting to make sure that because we understand digitizing as an ongoing process, and there are a lot of new technologies that are introduced every day, and we want to make sure that all of it is accommodated day by day. So a fully digital, it's an ongoing process, and there's a lot of different services, but at least for Dubai, we're working towards the first step, and hopefully the rest is going to follow, which is for Dubai to become a paperless city. And how we do it is by making sure that the back end is all connected, and at the same end, whether between government to government and between government to consumer, fully digital. And that's it, basically.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so let's move to our next speaker, Paolo Marchetti, the Director of Strategies, Innovation and Sustainability in Azienda Trasporti Milanese, the transport, let's say, company in Milan.
Thank you very much, and thanks to invite us to this roundtable and for the opportunity to represent our company. Our company that is composed of a team by 10,000 employees. We are speaking about of 1 billion revenue per year, and pre-COVID we carry 2.5 million passengers per working day. It is an extended network that covers 2,000 kilometers for not only Milan, but also the suburban area that covers 96 municipalities. And what we do, we manage not only local public transport, but also other type of transport mode, for example, bike sharing system, but also new technology. For example, we manage IT system for automatic fare collection, for parking stalls, and also for pollution area or congestion area. Last but not least, it is very important for us also give a look to outside Milan. And I'm speaking about, for example, to Copenhagen. Copenhagen is a perfect match for us to make our best in local public transportation with the new technology. In fact, since 2008, we manage the driverless metro lines in Copenhagen. And this gives us the opportunity to improve our technology in driverless metro and import in Milan in Line M4 and M5. So this is an introduction of our two most important pillars of our strategic plan that is based, first of all, of digital innovation and smart ticketing. We start our journey in 2015 with the use of the app to buy ticket, and since 2015, 22 million of tickets are stolen by this system. Then, a few years ago, we start with the EMV contactless payment to access to the network, and we registered 70 million journey in 2 years. Let me say that for digital innovation and general innovation, it is very important the resilience. In fact, on the right of the chart, you can see our new section of the app, where in this period, COVID period, it is very important to know how crowded is the metro station, the train. And so this is why we implement a new function to represent for every station and for every period of the day the state of crowding of the metro. Second important pillar of our strategic plan is the changeover and move to a full electric fleet. So not only trolleybus, tram and metro, but also all our buses, we are speaking about 1,200 buses, will be by 2030 full electric. I remark this project because it is very important to have a smart approach, because it's not only a changeover of the bus, but also a rethinking of the depot, of the charging infrastructure, and also all the services related to the bus fleet management. For example, I give you a picture of the idea of the new hour depot that we will build in the future. We are speaking to build a new 3 depots for these electric buses fleet. As you can see, I show you a park, not a depot, because the parking stall is underground, because overground we have an area dedicated to also the citizen, because innovation has to be integrated with the needs of our customer, of the city, and of all the citizens. So this is a beautiful example for me to pass to the second area that it is very important for ATM, and it is the sustainability policy. In the last month, we are trying to underline the most important achievement of our company in the next year, in the 2030. First pillar is decarbonization. As you can see, it's very connected with the full electric program project. The second pillar is related to people and community empowerment, because we think it's very important to involve our stakeholders, all types of stakeholders, in the process of build a smart community, a smart technology, a smart usage of the city. The third pillar is the circular economy. With the COVID, we understand a lot that resources are not limited. And so this is why I had to best manage our resource. And if I can, I had to reuse all the type of resources. So I can introduce the fourth pillar that is related to supply chain optimization. The last but not least pillar is the diversity management. In fact, we think it's very important to try to collect all the diversity to create a new value for all our type of project. And so, for example, we are speaking about to health protection, allocation of power, workforce, gender gap, and all the things related to an empowerment policy, as mentioned in the third pillar. So, with this quick overview of our company, I want to thank you very much for the space to give us.
Thank you, Paolo. Thank you for the beautiful presentation. And now I leave the floor to Khaled Abdulrahman Al-Wadi, Director of Transportation System Department of Dubai Road Transport Authority, RTA. Thank you very much, Khaled.
Thank you, Professor, and good afternoon and good morning for the people in Europe. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I will try to basically to give you a quick update on what we are doing, and maybe this will also complement what my colleague Alia from Dubai Smart Office, she were already talking about in very comprehensive way, which basically the strategy and the vision that we do have in the city of Dubai, and the announcement which was done by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of UAE and the ruler of Dubai in 2014, and which actually was aimed to make Dubai the smartest city in the world. So as explained, there is a strategy and there is a vision that all the entities in Dubai working toward achieving this, and they say different pillars when it comes to the service providers, when it comes to the healthcare, education, and others, including the transportation and the road that RTA Dubai, the Roads and Transport Authority in Dubai, is supporting to achieve this vision. The vision that definitely we have in Dubai is to make sure that we are providing a transportation solution. We are providing an infrastructure in the city that will assure safe and smooth transport for everyone. And this is also translated in a number of goals. Maybe one of the direct related smart city goal is a smart Dubai strategic goals that we do have, which actually being supported by a portfolio of projects and programs that is supporting this vision and this direction. Definitely, we as in RTA, we are responsible of the different services, I would say, when it comes to the transportation, when it comes to the road infrastructure. I would like to highlight in the program. Sorry, I'm looking there's some echo or some noise, so I hope that everyone is hearing me clearly. So yeah, so one of the main strategy that is supporting the vision that we do have in Road and Transport Authority is the self-driving strategy, which was launched in Dubai in 2016. I think also lots of colleagues over here in the session today, they already referred about what Dubai is doing in terms of self-driving, autonomous transportation systems, and all these things. So maybe I will just also highlight on this, and it might be an opportunity that will give a more maybe complete picture on what we are doing. So Dubai announced in 2016 a strategy that aims to transform 25% of the self-driving or 25% of the transportation trips in Dubai by 2030 to be done by self-driving transportation system. So this is a strategy that will support multimodal transportation mode, and we will be doing this transformation in the transportation system of the city, where the aim will be is to provide more safer, more sustainable, and also delivering all the benefits that this strategy that captured to be delivered in the coming, let's say, 10 years from now. So the strategy really focus on different modes, as I say. So we have the metro, we have the tram, we have the taxis and buses, and even this includes the marine transportation system. It's worth mentioning that Metro Dubai is considered also one of the projects that is supporting this strategy, since it's a fully driverless metro. And it's not only about the technology and the modes when it comes to executing those projects. Definitely you should have also the enablers that will be supporting this strategy. So we have also heavily working on the legislation that and the regulation that will be required to execute things. So in 2019, in March last year, we already launched this was a decree by the Crown Prince of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed, the first decree of the legislation that will be allowed to do trials on open roads with basically self-driving transportation system. And also at this time, we're also working on the legislation for operation that we expect that will be sometime, hopefully next year, that will be ready to also accommodate the need of operation when it comes basically that for the time of operation for the taxi systems and also for the autonomous buses and other shuttle services. One of the very important also thing that we are focusing at this stage is to encourage the companies as well to not only trial to basically in the cities to understand, so we can understand the technologies, but also to understand the challenges that are there around this part of, let's say, a region, since if we compare this region with Europe, for example, the climate is different, basically the challenge that we do have when it comes to the weather is one aspect. And also, for sure, the most important thing is also to understand what are the things that would be required from us in terms of the infrastructure to accommodate all these things. So we are really working very hard in terms of encouraging the companies to come and to test. So we learn and they also learn what is suitable in terms of this region, in terms of the technologies and the modification that they need to do. That's why we have held as well the Dubai World Autonomous Transportation Challenge. This was the first cycle was last year in 2019 in October, where we have integrated the winners of the challenge, which started, usually the challenges takes over 2 years, so it was 2018 until 2019, where the theme was focusing on the first and last mile commuting, and we had companies from different parts of the world that contributed, and also we have integrated the winner. So this type of basically a challenge always will help the companies to understand how is the situation and what basically is the requirement of this market to be more ready and to let's say adjust and calibrate their products and tailor it for this and to be ready for this market. And also we are doing the second version of that challenge as well in 2021, and this time we are focusing on them self-driving logistic delivery. So things like Amazon pods and those smaller form factor of vehicles that will be used for moving the logistic and the small goods around the city. So as I said, we have a plan which is focusing on the multi-mode transportation, and we are really at this time focusing based on what you are seeing over here in terms of the timeline, with a number of projects that really already started and that we'll be announcing very soon the execution of them, and we are according to a plan that to make that achievement of the 2030. And as I said, it's a multimodal, so it is basically a very busy agenda that we are working to make sure that this will be an achieved target. And definitely the drive for this is a number of let's say objectives and indicators that we are looking to achieve in terms of improving the safety on the road and also reducing the infrastructures requirement, since we are also focusing definitely on this type of transformation on the shared mobility, where it's not only just about an autonomous vehicle, but also autonomous vehicle that will be provided as a service with the concept of the shared mobilities. So the aim is reduction on the infrastructure and also on the let's say to be more even friendly when it comes to the environment and the pollutions and all these things. Plus as well the reduction of the operational and the cost of the mobility around the city. So so this is just let's say at a glance on what we are doing, and we believe that also we are pretty doing good. We are aiming definitely more. We have been ranked as a city number 8 according to the KPMG report that was published in 2020, a couple of months back, in terms that actually looks after different elements of the city readiness when it comes. So I think with the competition around the globe with this direction, we believe that we are doing good. We are aiming to do even better, to be more competitive, since, as I said, we have 10 years, which is not a long time to make this change and to make this transformation. So I hope that I give a picture that what we are doing in this area. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. There is a question that was actually made a bit during the first session about accessibility. So how much digital transformation and smart cities are will be accessible, and if it will be a seamless experience for the user, or if it will require some so we want to be sure that it's not a divide, right? Introducing technology doesn't create a divide. So how well we can transition to the smart cities scenario, still allowing, I would say, inclusiveness.
Sure, yeah. So I think I hope that I can answer this by saying that when actually we are designing the transportation system in the city in Dubai, I think, yeah, for some reason the video was off, but I hope that my voice was clear. So yeah,
yes,
what I'm referring to is actually when we are starting any transportation project, always we keep in our mind the integration between the multi-modal transportation system. So it's not about, let's say, individual modes. It's about providing a seamless experience, an integrated experience when the users come, basically to integrating the modes that even today exist, like the metro systems, with the bus feeders, and with, let's say, smaller shutters, and also with the integration of the taxis, by having also platforms that will make the transportation easy for the people in terms of planning their journeys and all these things, and the concept of, let's say, the platform that integrates everything, all the transportation mode in a single app, which we have it over here. We call it SHEL, Dubai Integrated Mobility Platform concept, where really you can plan your journey, you can even book, and you can actually decide what will be the best way from moving from point to another point. So it's always keep in our mind when we are designing a new transportation.
So even people with special needs or people of determination, like we say, right, will be experiencing easily this kind of services, right?
Exactly, and this always translated in terms of the design of the stations that we do, that definitely accommodate those, let's say, special, very attentive customers to basically our services.
Thank you very much. Also, there was a question about ranking, how these ranking are, but I think Alia kindly answered online. So thank you very much for the reply. So I think we are good to wrap up, and we have a researcher here at Khalifa University, engineer Dr. Costanza Armanini. She is a volunteer also to wrap up a little bit this session, and I thank you again, all the speakers, and I look forward for our next webinar. Thank you also to the, of course, Embassy of Italy to the UAE. And please, Costanza.
Thank you, Cesare, and thank all the speakers for this extremely interesting presentation. I think this was a great opportunity to discuss and compare Italy and UAE strategies in smart cities implementation. Ambassador Lehner started today's discussion wondering about the definition of smart cities, and I think today we saw many different answers to this question, all of them involving the concept of sustainability. Both UAE and Italy are actively working in this field through different approaches, but pursuing the same shared objective, which is the improvement of the quality of life of their citizens. We saw UAE's priorities and strategies, from the most technological solutions such as robotics, autonomous vehicle, transportation, and AI, and on the other side, renewable energy, water, environment, pulsing also the happiness of the citizens, as we saw. Many different projects also conducted in Italy have been presented. These involve the importance of monitor, modeling, managing cities to make them smart, through urban regeneration, mobility, transformation, activating and executing innovative and sustainable solutions focused on also the customer centricity. Many challenges, many opportunities emerge today. We saw that collaboration and synergy among different sectors might be one of the tools to achieve such demanding goals. Another important topic that emerged from today's discussion is the education of the public and the future generation to the values that are intrinsically involved with smart cities and sustainability. In particular, the problems emerged during the COVID-19 emergency stressed once more the importance of these values and proved that there still are many open challenges that should be tackled. Today, I think we saw some promising solutions to these problematics, all embracing emerging innovative strategies that involve multiple sectors of society. To conclude, I would like to thank once again all the speakers, the attendees who took part in today's event. The next webinar is of the Innovitaly UAE series is scheduled on the 4th of November, and the topic will be life science with a focus on the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Costanza. Thank you again, all the speakers. Really insightful presentations and very informative. And audience, of course, for the questions. Again, all questions will be answered in case by email. We do have your emails. And thank you especially to, of course, Khalifa University, Dubai Future Foundations, and to the ambassador. Thank you, His Excellency, for this opportunity. So goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much. Bye. Thanks. Thank you.
Bye.